horrific an opponent must be to have just been swept by the Rockies, who are currently 12-53. Good morning to you. You don't have to imagine it anymore. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into football and or hockey. I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Pirates 10, Marlins 3 last night at PNC Park. Andrew McCutchen and Adam Frazier with 3 hits and an RBI each. Brian Reynolds with a bases clearing triple, and the rout was underway early, as it is with most teams that Miami faces. And look, I don't mean to, be that guy. The Pirates have won 4 in a row. First time for that since last September. And way more significant than that, they're fresh off a weekend in which they swept a very good Philadelphia team. So this is what's supposed to happen. And I'm comfortable now doing something I hadn't been comfortable doing all season, which is to make fun of the opponent. Why? Because the Pirates were right at that level for the better part of it. They're not anymore. That is to their credit. They're still not hitting very much, present opponent excluded, but they're getting the pitching, they're getting the defense, they're getting the chemistry, camaraderie thing going, and they're getting something else going. They're getting, for the most part, the people going who they knew they would get going all along. If you look just within the lineup at the names of those who were the most productive in this one game last night out of the 15 hits that the Pirates got. I mentioned Kutch having 3 of those. Well, Kutch is just having a Kutch in his late 30s type season. Batting .264, he's got a .749 OPS. He's just doing his Kutch thing. Why, when in general the team would appear to be falling apart, would you not worry about Kutch? Because he's Kutch. He has a track record. Reynolds was off to the worst 2-month start of his career, and his numbers still, even after going 2 for 5 in this game, aren't where they're going to be. He's batting .238 with a .696 OPS. He can and will do a lot better than that. But the reason that you can say that with conviction is that he's got the track record. This was B-Ray after the game.
Yeah, it felt great. He's a really good pitcher. Obviously, first game back for him, but it felt great to bust it open and give us some momentum, and we built off that for the rest of the game.
Frazier's another one. I was cringing for the longest time when everybody kept lumping him and Tommy Pham together. They never had any business being in the same sentence, other than that they were 2 veterans that the Pirates signed and attached both of them to this concept that they were here to do some sort of mythical leadership thing in the clubhouse. Frazier's a ball player. Frazier can hit. Frazier's hitting .264, .695 OPS. That's not going to get anybody carving his statue, but he's a professional. And I'll say it again. He's a professional with a track record. You might even make an argument in O'Neal Cruz's case about a track record. Of course, he's not as established as any of those 3 players. And of course, he is seen almost universally as still having this magical untapped ceiling. But we're also seeing now that he tends to find his way back whenever he does sink. And all of that's fine. All of that's well and good. All of that's welcome, obviously. Now, please tell me you saw where I was going with this. Yeah, maybe? Okay, well, what do Kutch, Reynolds, Frazier, and Cruz have, as well as absolutely anybody else who can hit a baseball for this team? That's right. And that's why this kind of event, whether it's the sweep of the Phillies, impressive from top to bottom, or beating up on one of the 2 worst teams in the sport, don't mean much at all toward the longer term when it comes to this franchise. I'm sorry, I'm not being that negative guy, and I get it, they've won 4 in a row and whatever. I just want to make sure that from my own perspective, that I don't lose sight of what actually matters. And that, of course, is getting a general manager who can identify, acquire, and develop hitters, as opposed to Ben Cherington, who can't do any of those three things. If you want to picture what it might be like, maybe even as early as next year, for the Pirates to have a cast of strong-armed, younger pitchers going right at teams, having no fear, and then scoring enough runs through some professional at-bats to make sure that those turn into wins and make some plays in the field, you can go right ahead and daydream about the past 4 games, and you know what? The next 2 as well, since they're against Miami too. And no one's saying here, don't enjoy it. In fact, quite to the contrary, enjoy it. Go nuts. Get the feel for what it would be like if this team could hit even a little bit, if a new GM was able to even add just two competent bats as opposed to 0. Because it's not that hard. It's not anywhere near as hard as Cherington has made it appear. The hardest part, and this is partially to Cherington's credit, is to get the starting pitching. Well, that seems to be here. And affordable. Wonderful. Now just bring in somebody to do the easy part and it'll all be fun. When we come back, J1Q. If you're looking for a great dining experience, look no further than North Shore Tavern. Located directly across Federal Street from PNC Park, next door to Mike's Beer Bar, North Shore Tavern is Pittsburgh's home for steak on a stone. Enjoy your steak finished on a hot lava stone in front of you, where you ensure each piece is cooked to exactly your liking. Or try their rotating selection of entrees, hot sandwiches, salads, and burgers, all while enjoying the ambiance dedicated to the great players and history of the Pittsburgh Pirates all around you. Come see why everyone's talking about North Shore Tavern and steak on a stone.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragecheck.org. That's gunstoragecheck.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q comes from David, who says, DK, thanks so much for the Monday J1Q portion. I get so frustrated when I hear sports people, including media people, complaining about team owners and how they're all billionaires and they can all afford to spend on payroll. Any business that operates out of the owner's bank account and not from its own revenues will not be in operation very long. This is so true. I'm sorry, I'll continue. Also, most billionaires are billionaires on paper, meaning that's the total value of their investments, not money sitting in a bank account. So the proper question when it comes to the Pirates is, why do they have so little to spend on payroll when teams in similar markets with similar incomes can allocate more? In what ways are they not running the business properly that does not allow them to allocate more to payroll? The problem is not so much that Bob Nutting is cheap, it's that he's a bad businessman who doesn't know how to bring in enough revenue to run the team properly. David, I am tempted to just end the show here, as I have nothing to add to that. It is the best I have ever heard any of that worded. That said, you just made no impact on anybody, because these concepts, these misperceptions that you're citing are so deeply ingrained that there's no hope for a reversal. It's like telling people about the salary cap. It's like telling them, well, no, salary cap means it's a system. There's a ceiling and a floor. And oh, by the way, there's expanded revenue sharing to make sure that everybody can afford to spend up into that new range. Doesn't make a difference. Whoosh, right over the heads. No one even bothers thinking about it for 2 seconds, what you just said. The same thing goes for this. If you're picturing these sports owners as look, they're rich, okay? I mean, it's tough to own even a minor league sports franchise in this country without being rich. But there's rich, and then there's being able to pull into your pocket and add, I don't know, 20, 30, $100 million a year into payroll that does not come back to you. That right there is some Amazon, Apple, Tesla air that very, very few people on this planet breathe. So your points, and to be more precise, your criticisms of nutting are the most accurate ones. The only reason that others don't embrace these is because they've already had this misperception thing just implanted so deep in their brains that they can't get past it. The problem, and as you worded it, the proper question regarding the Pirates is, why do they have so little to spend on payroll when teams in similar markets with similar incomes can allocate more? It's not because Nutting's not reaching into his pocket. It's because he has been timid with his investments. He has been poorly timed in his decisions to play it safe. This season, right now, screams of that. It actually reeks of that. Why? Look at the Central Division. You see the Cubs way up there, but you don't see the rest of the division as some sort of, wow, this was impossible. The Pirates could have never competed with this group. You've got Paul Skeens and a rotation, and you need yourself a couple of bats. Presuming that you'd have a competent general manager in place, which is a separate subject entirely because you don't, you absolutely should have been able to turn this team into something this year with an additional investment from the owner, not fearing his own shadow, not wondering, oh no, what happens if? But you don't go and get Tommy Pham. Now, can you rip Ben Cherington for getting Pham? Sure, there were other players right in that price range who've been far more productive. But could you also have, done both things, gotten yourself a real GM and put some more money into it? Yes. And from there, would ticket sales go up? You bet they would. Would there be more revenue? Absolutely. Would the ratings go up? And help with subscription sales at the new Sportsnet Pittsburgh? No question about it. But this, my friends, is what it looks like when you tiptoe. That's what the Pirates have done. They've tiptoed. David, I love you, my man. I from now on, when I talk about this stuff, I'm going to pretend I'm just talking to David and maybe a few others. I appreciate that question more than you can know. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We'll do another one of these tomorrow.